The question that gives its title to this video at first may seem stranger than usual, or well than normal for this channel. SpongeBob has a lot of strange things and an absurdly detailed story for such a wacky show. That's why it is and will continue to be one of the cartoons we talk about the most around here, but one thing we wouldn't expect in a show like this is for one of the main characters to have participated in a war, right? And even less that it's openly mentioned in the show. Well, this video wouldn't exist if Mr. Krabs hadn't been left with chronic depression after the war, but this video does exist, and I didn't make the depression part up. What I mentioned is just a small part of everything we know about Mr. Krabs' time in the Navy. The idea that Mr. Krabs participated in a war in his youth began with what is considered one of the best episodes of the entire series, Krusty Krab training video. This episode is just what its title tells us, a training video for the new employees of the Krusty Krab. In the first section of the training, which recounts the humble beginnings of the restaurant, the narrator says the following. After the war, Krab fell victim to a deep depression that seemed to have no end, but then his luck changed when he bought a bankrupt nursing home, and with some minor repairs the Krusty Krab was born. Obviously this triggered a lot of weird theories, because it was the first time a Bikini Bottom war was mentioned, and curiously in the following season, there was another episode that added fuel to the fire of conspiracy theories. In the episode known as The Shell of a Man, we can see that Mr. Krabs was in the Navy and he has a trunk with his memories of those times. Mr. Krabs declares that he was called Armor Abs Krabs and he was the toughest of his crew. His shipmates on board were Iron Eye, Mutton Chop, Torpedo Belly and Lockjaw Jones. Interestingly, Iron Eye and Torpedo Belly have wounds that seem to indicate they were in combat, especially Torpedo Belly with a torpedo in his abdomen. Other things we can notice is that apparently Mr. Krabs was an officer by dialogue in the second half of the episode, and in his chest we can see that he has combat medals. And that's where the story originally ended. We knew that Mr. Krabs had served in the Navy and apparently participated in combat judging by his medals. In season 3, in the episode Squilliam Returns, there was a small mention of Mr. Krabs' naval jobs. He had cleaned toilets on the SS Gourmet and was the chief cook on the SS Diarrhea. But beyond that, we knew nothing. That all changed with the arrival of season 9 and the episode Pull Up a Barrel. In this episode, a severe storm occurs which causes Mr. Krabs, Bob and Squidward to become trapped in the Krusty Krab. Here, Mr. Krabs decides to tell a story of his days in the Navy, a story that I will summarize for you. In those days, Mr. Krabs was a naval cook and a pretty good one. This prompted Captain Scarfish to order him to stop cooking delicious food, so that the crew could stay rough and alert and defend the important cargo of sunscreen they were carrying. After being forced to serve swill to the sailors and repenting and cooking real food, the captain sent him to the brig for insubordination. There Mr. Krabs befriends one of the guards and tricks him into making cotton candy. Mr. Krabs uses a piece of the cotton to make a key, and as he escapes, the ship is attacked by pirates. Almost the entire crew was indigested by the garbage the captain made them eat, so everything depended on Mr. Krabs. There was a big battle against the pirates, but in the end, Mr. Krabs and the ship's crew were victorious, captured the pirate queen, and just before the end of the episode, Mr. Krabs gives her a pie with the candy key in it so she could escape. It is possible that the story that Mr. Krabs tells may have happened before he entered active duty, since from what little we have seen it seems that he started as a toilet cleaner, then became a cook, and then became a full-fledged officer. The last episode that shows us something about Mr. Krabs' Navy days is one of the most recent ones, and is titled The Haering. Here, Mr. Krabs tells a short story where in his Navy days he had fallen asleep and had to eat bait, as it was the only food left. The funny thing is that Mr. Krabs tells this story as if it were a war story, as if he were in enemy territory on a dangerous mission. He says he ended up far from his comrades in a battle and it took hours to return, when in fact he fell asleep in a hammock. This again seems to indicate that there was indeed some kind of conflict, but we don't see that Mr. Krabs was on the battlefield or anything like that. Now knowing all that the show tells us about Mr. Krabs' days in the Navy, we can move on to talk about the theories about today's mysterious mystery. In my search through the internet about the theories that exist about this mysterious war, I found basically everything. Some people thought that this war was just a reference to the video game Battle for Bikini Bottom, where Bikini Bottom is attacked by robots, but we know that the war happened before the existence of the Krusty Krab, so that can't be it. There's another theory that I find very interesting, which says that the war was against the city known as Rock Bottom, and that's why it's in such an exaggeratedly deep crater, thanks to the bombs. But if we want to get really conspiranoid, there are two theories I definitely have to talk about, and the first is that Mr. Krabs fought in Vietnam. This theory, which comes from a thread on Tumblr that went viral several years ago, is strangely interesting. The theory goes that if we go by Mr. Krabs' driver's license seen in the episode Sleep Time, we can see that Mr. Krabs was born in 1942, thus knowing that he could enter the Navy from the age of 18. By the time he entered the military, we would be in the year 1960. Since Bikini Bottom uses dollars and various US denominations, it is assumed that Mr. Krabs served in the US Armed Forces. And if he entered near or after 1960, there is only one major conflict in which the United States would need to send troops: the Vietnam War. And while this theory is exactly the kind of theory we love on this channel, and would definitely explain his PTSD, it has a few things that don't fit so well. First of all, it's not clear if Bikini Bottom makes part of the United States. I mean, other countries use dollars without being part of the United States, and truth be told, Bikini Bottom is most likely an independent state, since it's never mentioned as being part of a larger country. And well, it's not very likely that Mr. Krabs was deployed to Vietnam. He is a crab after all. The second theory makes a little more sense, sort of. This theory, posited by Evil Flowers on Reddit, tells us that basically it was a war against invasive species of mutant fish. Yes, you heard me right. Knowing that Bikini Bottom is located near Bikini Atoll, a site used by the United States for nuclear testing after World War II, it's possible that all the radiation affected the marine life there, creating not only Bikini Bottom, but also killer monstrosities. So, according to this user, the war could refer to a conflict against extra mutated fish. Being a bit more critical, it's a pretty crazy theory, but the bombs part might have something to it. If you're in an underwater city and you're getting nukes dropped on you on a regular basis, it's not crazy to think you're in a war. So there is the possibility that this war was nothing more than nuclear testing done by the United States. And while I like this one, there is a second option. Yes, in today's video, for lack of an answer, I'll give you two, and you be the judge of which one is more likely. Thanks to the episodes Grandpappy the Pirate and Frozen Face-Off, we know that after his service in the Navy, Mr. Krabs was briefly captain of his own pirate ship. He sailed the seas as a pirate, collecting booty, and even fought the abominable snow mollusk. But although the booty was plentiful, Mr. Krabs didn't have enough profit, so he fired his crew and sold his ship. The second option I am telling you about is that in reality, Mr. Krabs did not have depression from the war. The mention of his depression after the war comes from Krusty Krab training video, and in truth, it is possible that he was hiding his past as a pirate, using his depression as an excuse. We can even go a little further. I believe the war he is referring to is a Bikini Bottom Navy war against pirates, who are the only real threat we see throughout the Bikini Bottom story. Thus, Mr. Krabs would have initially hidden his past as a pirate, since, as is apparent, the pirates lost. I mean, Bikini Bottom still exists and we don't see many pirates around, but still, who knows. At the end of it all, it's a theory, and I'd like to know which option seems more likely to you, or if you have a theory of your own. So I hope you liked this video. Like it if you did, comment if you have more mysterious mysteries you'd like me to solve, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Bye.